Hey everyone, it's Boogeyman Ben. Hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is not what I promised. Yesterday I said that I was going to do a couple videos this week focusing on what I feel are underrated horror films, just because leading up to the weeks of Halloween I wanted to talk about some more horror films, ones that I like and ones that I think kind of get overlooked when people talk about really cool, scary horror films. But I just got finished watching a movie and I felt compelled to do a video about it. And this movie was one that I was skeptical about watching anyway. The movie is, of course, Fright Night 2 New Blood, which, if people know me, I'm, just from my videos and the videos that I've done, I'm a big fan of the original Fright Night. I did a video about it several years ago. I got the poster right there. Big fan of this film. Next to Salem's Lot, this is my favorite vampire film of all time. Love Tom Holland's script, the music by Brad Fiedel, Tom Holland's direction as well, and then you got William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster. I love Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed, the great Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, and of course Jerry Dandridge played by the awesome Chris Sarandon. Just an excellent vampire film. Just really loved this movie growing up. Had so much fun with it when I was a kid. And I even really loved the sequel. The sequel is very good. I meant to always do a video review of this, but I've always been a fan of Fright Night Part 2. Not as much as the first one, of course, but I love to, further adventures of Peter and Charlie, and the fact that William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall came back to do this sequel. Always had a lot of fun with this film. It's not as good as Tom Holland's original, but still love this film, both of these films. And back in, I'm going to say 2009, they announced that they were doing the Fright Night remake, and I was very angry that they were going to do it. It's the first time I've really been angry about a remake, just because I had hoped that, I knew it was years and years and years past, but it would have been nice if, they could have done a few more sequels, especially when Roddy McDowall was still alive, and, I was kind of like, oh, why remake Fright Night? Fright Night is such a great film. They didn't need to remake it. But I was very surprised by this film. And I did a review of it after seeing it in the movie theater, saying how much I enjoyed it. I really did like Anton Yelchin as Charlie Brewster. Thought he did a great job. Colin Farrell did a great job as being a different type of Jerry Dandridge. I really had, and David Tennant was. I really had fun with him as Peter Vincent. I thought, there was some. They changed it. It was, similar characters, but the situations were all different. It was set in Las Vegas right after the recession. I just thought that some of the things that they did in this, and the fact that Peter Vincent's like a magician, someone that dabbles in the occult, or done like occult research and things like that, it kind of made sense, and I actually think that it was pulled off pretty successfully, and I was very sad that this film failed at the box office. And then I heard that they were going to do another film, almost really remaking it again, but they were going to call it Fright Night 2. And I'm like, why? Why would you call it Fright Night 2? Just make another film. Why don't you just make it a sequel and just, get it? Because they weren't going to use, of course, the same cast was not going to come back. But just make it a second film. Just have the characters abroad or something like that. But they decided to actually make a second Fright Night film that is set in Romania. It's called Fright Night 2 New Blood, but it's actually the same film that the original was and the remake was. It's just set in Romania, and it's pretty much the same type of, in terms of the plot points, everything is pretty similar. I'll give you a rundown. I just watched the film, so I got some notes, but I'll give you a rundown. It's directed by Eduardo Rodriguez, written by Matt Veen. It stars Will Payne as Charlie Brewster, Jamie Murray, who was in Dexter Season 2, very beautiful actress, one of the main reasons I wanted to watch it. She plays Jerry Dandridge, G-E-R-R-I Dandridge. Sean Power plays Peter Vincent, and this time Peter Vincent is like a reality TV show star who does like kind of ghost hunters, that kind of thing. Sasha Parkinson's as Amy Peterson, and then Chris Walker as Evil Ed Bates. And the plot is pretty much that Evil and Charlie are studying abroad in Romania. Charlie and Amy have broken up. They run into each other, as they get to Romania. and there's still friction between them. The first night they're actually across from Jerry, her house, I guess her apartment, and Charlie sees her and another woman kissing in the window. Very similar to the way that Jerry Dandridge was with the woman, and Charlie sees them across from his bedroom window in the original. Then they find out that Jerry is the professor they're going to be, because it's all, it's like they're studying, so they're one of the professors, and it's her. And you find out a little bit about her through the story. I actually thought she was the best element of it. The Jerry character. The other cast members are just, I thought they were. Will Payne as Charlie Brewster is just horrible. There's nothing interesting about him. Anton Yelchin did a great job as Charlie. I really, felt for his character. But William Ragsdale is always going to be my favorite in terms of playing the Charlie character. And Will Payne is just, there's nothing interesting about him. You don't feel for him. You really sympathize with Charlie in both the original film and the remake. And in this one, I felt nothing for him. He was just kind of stupid and just pointless. There was nothing interesting about him. The guy that plays Evil Ed is just, his name is Chris Weller. I hated him. And I don't use that term a lot. I don't like to be too negative. And I went into this movie just saying, hey, maybe it'll be fun and interesting. It wasn't. And the guy that played Evil Ed, I mean, the thing with Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who played him in the remake, he at least played him differently. Whereas this guy was like an amped up version of Stephen Jeffries, just swearing all the time and being very obnoxious and stupid. And that's not the way Stephen Jeffries portrayed him. That was almost like, the way that Stephen Jeffries portrayed Evil Ed in the first film is almost like he was hiding who he really was, and all of his, goofing on Charlie and the whole thing was sort of to cover up what a vulnerable person he really was. And that was not at all how this guy played him. He was horrible. Sasha Parkinson as Amy was just forgettable. There was nothing interesting about her. And Sean Power as Peter Vincent, he was funny, and I thought he could at least act, but he was pointless. There was no reason for him to even be in this, because, Charlie in this is not a horror fan. Evil is, and there's nothing. There's no reason for him to even be there. I mean, they didn't even need to have the character in this movie. The movie is really bad, and there's so many things that were stolen from the original Fright Night. I don't want to get into it too much without spoiling things, because I don't like to spoil things, even if it's a movie I don't particularly care for. But they stole so much from all three Fright Night films, the original, the sequel, and the remake. Elements from all three are in this film, and it's so predictable where the story's going to go. There are some surprises, but they're very few and far between. There's nothing really worth, revisiting this film. I will never watch this film again. It's probably one of the worst films I've seen. It was what I was afraid the original remake was going to be. It's just pointless, and I don't know why they even made it. It's like, it's kind of, why waste the time and money to put something like this together when it's just, there's nothing interesting that you can say. There's nothing interesting about it. There's nothing good you can say about it. It was just like, they threw it together, put Fright Night on it, thinking, okay, people will buy it and pick it up or watch it, and it's not even worth your time. I watched it. I wanted to. I knew it was going to be pretty bad, but I thought I'd give it a chance. But yeah, it was a piss poor film, and I'm going to give it a 0 out of 10. One of the lowest ratings I've ever given a film, but there is really absolutely nothing to recommend about this film. Even, as much as I liked, sorry, going back to my notes here, as much as I like Jamie Murray as Jerry Dandridge, there was nothing done interesting about the character. There was nothing. She's a beautiful woman. They could have played upon that. It was played upon at the very beginning and then just forgotten. And then it's just like this stupid cat and mouse game between her and Charlie, and it's just stupid. It was just really bad. And it was a lot of setup that we've already seen. It was just a wasted opportunity, and I really don't understand why the movie was even made. I really don't want to talk anymore about it. But I wanted to let my fans of the page know what I thought about this film. And if you've seen Fright Night 2, New Blood, share your thoughts with me and let me know what you thought about it. But that is my review of Fright Night 2, New Blood. Tomorrow I will not have a new video because I will be working doing the final setup for the haunted house, which will be starting this Friday, October the 18th, and I'm looking forward to that. And my videos will resume on Thursday, where I will be doing the video I meant to do tonight, which was underrated horror films. So I hope everyone looks forward to that, and I hope everyone has a great evening. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.